Okay, so Assalamu alaikum scholars. We have with us Syed Mubarak Hussain. He was born and raised in village Wahapura, Badgam, Kashmir, a father and a scientist exploring the mysteries of fruit fly brain. Currently, he runs an independent lab at the University of New Mexico, USA. Before joining UNM, he was an HHMI postdoctorate with Chris Doe and a Max Planck PhD student in Germany. His journey of exploring the brain started when he left Kashmir back in 2007, and after a long struggle got an opportunity to work at NCBS Bangalore, India. Other than brain, he gets excited about science, advocacy, diversity, open access, travels, running, hiking, and playing cricket. He is the founder of www.jkscience.org, which is an organization representing students, scientists, engineers, technologists, and educators of J&K, Jammu and Kashmir. The goal is to provide, according to him, his goal is to provide through this platform equal opportunity network and mentor students and scientists. Currently, he spends most of his free time helping students via JK Science or outdoors with his kid exploring the amazing nature. So I would want you all to welcome Mubarak Saab. Without just taking much time, I request Mubarak Saab to just take over. Thank you.
Thanks very much for a kind introduction. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. So I like my presentations to be very formal and engaging. It's like I will not be just talking and talking, you listening, but rather you will be also asking questions and interacting as much as you want to. I'll be happy to answer all the questions. All the questions are important. So don't feel shy that you'll be asking some questions which might be stupid. There is no question which is a stupid question. You always learn from asking questions. If you don't ask questions, you never learn anything. So I would encourage you all to ask questions from time to time. And I like to, actually I made this presentation very simple so that it's kind of engaging and also not that difficult for you all to understand what I have been doing and also what you could do as a scientist. So my goal today is to talk to you about a little bit about my journey, how I got into science, what science is like, and what are the opportunities in science for you. Science, I mean, other than what you all know. Like when we all grow up, our parents, our society want us to be the doctors or engineers. So I'm talking beyond that. It might be useful for some of you who are interested or who will get excited maybe after today's talk about science. So I will see, where is my presentation? So do you see my screen? Do you see the presentation here?
Yes, we see it.
Okay, so I'll be, so my question, first question to the students is, what is this structure here? Any guesses? Yes.
Someone says it's a lion.
Lion?
Someone says it's a brain.
Yeah, so you are close, it's a brain, because I study neuroscience and it says brain here. So what, is it a human brain? So I cannot hear students, is it like this?
Someone says it's a neuron. It's going to be like this because
okay.
Unfortunately over Kashmir, it's a lot of noise. So they're typing their response in the chat. So if you keep your chat window open, you'll see it.
Okay, let's see if I can.
Yeah, so,
so
just Open up your chat window and you will see the responses.
Let's see, where can I find chat? Okay, now I see. Some says art, some says neuron. So it's neuron, it's brain. So is it a human brain, mouse brain, cockroach brain, or fruit fly brain? I guess forebrain of human. It's very far from being a human brain. So it's a fly brain, fruit fly. So I'll be talking about a little bit about fruit flies today. And the green ones are neurons. So one of you was right, it's a neuron in the green. And these neurons are sleep neurons of fruit fly, the fly which is on the apple, you know? That's a fruit fly. So these are the sleep neurons of fruit fly. This is what we study. Not this one kind of neurons we study, but this is what I'm going to talk to you about. So let me go back and start my journey here. So as Umar said, I started my journey from here. It's called village Wahapura in Badgaon district. So we are very good at making this environment very polluted. You see lots of brick kilns here, or bhat as you call in Kashmiri, everywhere. It's a big trouble, big problem in our society here. But yeah, I grew up there. Both of my parents were not educated at all. I was the first of my batch in school. I got inspired, actually, lots of help from my uncle. And we all have similar stories, similar situations, 90s, trouble everywhere, schools closed, college closed most of the time. Then I was at Kashmir University. I did my master's there, master's in biochemistry. After that, I didn't know what to do, like we all struggle in that case. That time there was no Facebook, no JK scientist, maybe KA was there then. It was 1997, I was a high school student. So there was not much guidance. I started after my master's, I didn't know what to do as a teacher for maybe 6 months or so. And it was kind of a misfit. I was at Government Polytechnic College, Srinagar, teaching leather science. I don't know, I was a biochemistry student. So I felt like it's not sincere. I didn't know much about what I teach. So I left that job. I convinced my family that I will move out of Kashmir. It was hard. It was like it took 5 months or 4 months to convince them. At the end, I actually decided to go to next place, which is Bangalore, which is south of India, you might be knowing. NCBS is a world-class place. It's one of the best institutes in the world. I was there somewhere here, staying outside. For 4 months, I was not admitted into NCBS. I was just going here, having tea, coffee, or lunch with students, faculty. And one day I got an opportunity. There was this workshop, science workshop. It was 2 weeks workshop. If you get into the workshop, you will be 15 days, you'll be doing science with international scientists. And that's the time I got excited about science. And I approached a PI or faculty at NCBS. After 2-3 interviews, she decided to take me in. So I was there for 1.5 years. That's why I started knowing about fruit flies, knowing about what science is, knowing about what brain science is. And then I decided to do my PhD outside. And I went to Germany. As Omar said, I'm a Max Planck PhD fellow, means you get a good amount of money, 1,500 euros a month, which is good enough to live there and also save for family or send home. Max Planck is one of the prestigious PhD programs you all should think of applying when you are at that stage. And once you get in, you are doing amazing science. And what happens in science is it never stops. Science is continuing. After PhD, you go for postdoc. Like Omar said, postdoc is a training after PhD, which trains you to be an instructor or a professor or a scientist. So what I decided is to do my PhD postdoc in America. So I had experience in Europe. Now I wanted to do some research in US, and University of Oregon is the place where I was as an HHMI fellow. My professor was HHMI, or still is HHMI professor. HHMI, Howard Hughes Medical Institute are the top percentage of scientists in the US and in the world. So I was lucky to be in that lab for 5 years. So Oregon is very green, it's like Kashmir, except that there is this ocean, Pacific Ocean on the side. And this is called Tracktown of America. Most of you, maybe some of you have used Nike products. Nike originated from here, Oregon. So this is a good place to run. I like running and also hiking. That's where I discovered some cool stuff about neurogenesis, how neurons are made in fruit flies. And after that, I started my independent group or lab here in the middle of America, which is very unique. It's like Ladakh. It's high elevation, 10,000 feet. And the mountains here are called Sandias, that's what the title of the talk is, Sandias. In Spanish means watermelon. And here is where I am actually now, doing science and also training students. Let's go now to any questions about my exploration or my struggles. I think that's the most important part of the lecture, is how you all can be what at least I am now, or better than what I am now. I don't see chat now. Is there any question? Should I go to the science then?
Yeah, you can move on. I think there are no questions.
Okay. So let's go what I do. So should I go this way? Yeah, so this is a quote which I like by Robert Frost. So what makes the difference is to take the roads which are less explored, right? And now a question for you is, what is science? And who you define a scientist in your language or in your region or area? Let's see if I have any answers here. So this is unrelated question. So do you have avenues for students from commerce background? So I'll be talking about science, but if you are interested more in commerce, there is this forum, which I will tell you at the end, where students mentor each other. It's called JK Scientists. But here, my question for you is, what is science? How do you define science? All the students, what is science? Okay, I got one answer. Science means acquiring knowledge of something which is unknown. That's good. Science is simply knowledge gained by experiments and observations. Good answer. By Rizwan al-Haq and Bushra Bashir. That's good. Anything that defines nature. Yeah, good answer. Who is a scientist? And are you a scientist? Can anybody be a scientist, or it is just few people who you feel have long hair, long beard are scientists? What do you define as a scientist? One who knows science. Science means systemic. One who knows science. So everybody, like you, all are scientists then by definition. Like a kid who is exploring the world is a scientist, is it? Yeah, scientist is who deals about science. Can you be a scientist being at home? Yes, right? If you go outside, explore some species or plants or herbs, right? You are a scientist. Yeah, you are a botanist. You go in your kitchen, like when I go in the kitchen and make something that is home science, right? It's a science. How do we make cheese? How do we make yogurt or zamudur, right? It's all science, right? Any answers? How do you make a cheese? What is actually, or salmon kashipet? How do you make salmon? Milk say, yeah. So there are some proteins which get coagulated, right? Or precipitated, or casein. Casein is the protein. Anyway, so basically you all are scientists and you can do science right from your home, backyard science. Like last time, I guess it was a few years ago, I did some session with KEI scholars, students, where we tried to record neural activity from cockroach legs, right? And I remember when I was in 12th standard, I did one dissection of a frog. I don't know if it survived later, but I dissected the frog. So this is kind of science. So basically what I do is kind of science, and it's about our brain, which is the most complicated, most diverse, and most amazing structure or tissue or a part in this universe or in the body of ourselves. So basically, it's amazing. Like the brain development starts when we are in our mother's womb after fertilization. So this is the 1 month after fertilization. A few months after this.
Into this process about 1 month after fertilization, when the entire embryo is smaller.
You can hear from the scientist itself.
And we're going to look in at the nervous system where relatively small numbers of cells have been allocated.
So after a few months, 2 months, there will be few cells called stem cells. These neural stem cells will divide.
And the change in the shape of the central nervous system. So by 3 months, we have something like 1 million cells. The nervous system is beginning to exceed the size of the dime. You can see that the future forebrain and the cortical region are expanding disproportionately to the rest of the nervous system.
So by 6 months, there is this brain structure.
Millions of neurons.
There are billions of neurons made.
Now a familiar shape. You can see the beginnings of the indentations, the sulci and gyri that Eric described, so that by the time we approach the 8 and 9 months, this is now a familiar picture.
So it is a 9-month brain.
Tens of billions of nerve cells present.
So billions of neurons of different kinds are made in our mother's womb in 9 months. It's amazing. Most of the neurogenesis, most of the neurons are being generated when we are in our mother's womb. So what makes these neurons of different kinds, different types, doing different functions, different things, is an interesting question, which is unexplored, which we are trying to solve using fruit fly brain. Any questions about neurogenesis? So basically, in our brain, there are dedicated centers, right, for movement, touch, vision. We think, we process memory. We do lots of higher order brain function. basically our brain regulates our body, makes us think, makes us walk, makes us move. So there are dedicated brain structures for each behavior or function we do. And if you go deeper into this, basically these are circuits, neural circuits. And these neural circuits are more or less like computer circuits, but there's a big difference between a computer circuit and a brain circuit. What is the difference between a computer and a brain? My question for all of you students. What are the similarities and what are the difference between a computer and a brain? Any answers? Can you hear me? Umar sir, can you hear me? Am I audible to students? I don't know. I don't get any response. Okay, now. Man-made, computer is man-made, yes. So what does that mean? Simply neurons are natural and computer is human-made. So this is a difference. One difference, I would say, yeah. Brain uses chemicals, yeah, good. Computer stores bits, yeah. Yeah, so there are lots of differences. I think one of the difference for me as a developmental biologist is, which is fascinating, is basically these billions of neurons, 100 billion, they form trillions of connections. And these connections are not just made by human, right? The brain self-organizes. Basically from stem cells, these neurons are made. They will find each other, find appropriate partner and make a connection. And this is all programmed in itself, self-programmed, self-assembly. While as computers, we assemble. We know the parts, we know the circuit, right? And if something goes wrong during, like in computer circuit, we can fix it because we know what parts it is made of. But if something goes wrong during brain development, we cannot fix it unless we know what it is made of, what neuron it connects to, and what function it does. So basically, brain is an unexplored territory which will take next century or so to find how it is made, how it functions, and what goes wrong during diseases. Okay. Again, if you close your eyes and think of your brain, the outer layer, the outer structure is called cortex, and cortex is made of thousands of different kinds of neural types or neurons. Some have star shape, some have elongated shape. That means these neurons are of different kinds, different types, and they do different functions, right? But isn't it interesting? They all are born from the stem cell, neural stem cell, but what makes them different from each other? This is what we study in a fruit fly brain. This is again kind of a cartoonized version. This is not the real microscope image. This is a cartoon. If you take the outer layer of our brain, cortex, human brain is the highly evolved brain. The cortex is composed of different layers, and all these layers basically are different neural types, different neurons and different glia. Glia is the other cell type of human brain or any brain, fly brain. So glia are more in number than neurons. So basically what happens during development when we are in our mother's womb is basically some cells called neural stem cells here will divide over 9 months, 8 months, and will make different classes of neurons based on time and the the genes they express. Basically, over time, the same cell, stem cell, will make different kinds of neurons, which will do different things, different functions. Again, what's interesting, now this is human brain. Obviously, we cannot do lots of studies on human brain, mostly developmental, because of lots of different reasons. Now we are shifting more towards model systems. So now my question again here is, what is a model organism? Yes? What is a model system, model organism? What defines a good model system or a good model organism? So most of these students are high school students, Omar Sir, or college also?
Most of the students are high school students, sir. Almost everybody on this call today is a high school student.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so again, my question is, what is a model organism? So maybe I will make it simpler for you. In high school 12th textbook, you must have studied Mendel's pea plant experiments, or some other experiments which scientists have done on, I don't know, insects or rat, non-human species. Yes, sir, okay. So like Mendel, he studied pea plant. He discovered genetic principles, and these principles are same for all the organisms, right? So model organism, model system is a system which we can use to understand our own body, human. For example, we want to study human brain. We cannot, it's unethical, right? To first manipulate human brain. Second, we cannot get so many tissues from, like it's unethical. You cannot actually do it, right? In humans, you cannot kill a human person to just study his or her brain. So that's why we study these things in model systems. And for my research, we use fruit fly. Fruit fly is a model system, which is very good because it is fast. 15 days, you get a new kid or new generation. And also fruit fly has a brain, so it's a good to have a brain because we study brain. And then 70% of the genes are conserved between humans and fruit flies. So whatever we identify something in insects or fruit flies is relevant to our human brain or any system in our body. So now this insect world is fascinating. I don't know, when you go back, Google dung beetle. I don't know if they are in our locality. Maybe they are somewhere, but I have not seen in Kashmir, at least. Or maybe I was not that exploratory in nature. So dung beetle, small insect. So what they do is they take this dung, roll it, and then take it back to the nest or place where they belong. What they do is they calculate the sun and the solar azimuth. And they go backwards. If you see, when you Google, look for dung beetle, how they take this dung to their home or nest. So they use sun and solar azimuth as a cue to go back towards their nest. And you must have heard about migratory insects or migratory birds. Like in America, these monarch butterflies, they come long distance from Mexico to America. How do they find a place where they need to go? Same way like bees, when they go out for food, they go long distances. But when they come back, they calculate shorter distance to the nest. How do they do these amazing things? It's basically a small structure in their brain called central complex. which is what I will be talking about a little. Similarly, in ants or when they are born and are young, like bottom left, 2-3 days, they stay in their nest and they forage outside. Forage means nest in this neighbor. So what they actually do is they take a snapshot of what is around, what is surrounding, what is the solar azimuth, what is the direction of the sun. But they live 7 days, they forage, they go outside. They take long distances to go and find food. But after they find food, they have already everything in their brain calculated, and they calculate the shortest distance possible back to their colony or back to their nest. So it's a fascinating world, so I don't want to bore you with all this cool stuff, but what's actually, when you dissect an ant brain or a fruit fly brain, is like this. And this is the microscopic picture, a microscope where you stain different genes, different proteins, and can see the structures. So in the middle here is called CX, is central complex. You see CX is a central complex, the central brain of insects. And this is where all these processes actually occur, or all this information processing, what to do, where to go, how to calculate, happens in the central complex. That's what we study in fruit flies. Why fruit flies? Why not ants? Because fruit fly is a good model system. It is the top organism where you can manipulate genes, where you can manipulate neurons. So this is the scale of fly brain. It's a dot compared to human brain. In the middle is a mouse brain. So you can also work on a mouse brain. So well studied. It's a vertebrate. Fruit fly is invertebrate. So there are similar things which we cannot study in flies or fruit flies, but the mouse will be relevant or vice versa. Basically, you must have seen these flies at home. If you have not, now you are curious, you can go and catch one and see how it is like. Male, female, they mate, they lay egg. It's called embryo, fertilized egg. Then there are the 3 stages, L1, L2, L3. These are called maggots. Larvae, you can call it. So this is more or less similar to a fetus of human. The stage, not the whole system. So it's a 3-day long process, and then pupa, they make a coating or the cover around themselves. You must have seen how they make silk or silk moths. Basically 5 days they do nothing, just inside there is development which occurs, and after that they emerge as adults. So 15 days you get a new generation. So it's a good model system, good genetics, good brain, not good brain, it's a complex brain, but still we can ask all the questions in the lab. That's what a model system is, a system which we can use to address our own genetics, cell biology, or neuroscience, or brain science. This is one example. I will not give you many examples, just a few, but I will go faster now. And at the end, I will talk more about what you can do, what are the opportunities for you. So now my question again, what do you see here? Maybe it's complicated because this is not labeled. So, okay, I will tell you here. The green, this is the maggot brain. So you see, maggot means the larval brain. If you dissect the young brain, it's like this, one hemisphere. There are 2 lobes. This is one of them. And basically there are these stem cells which divide, labeled in green. It's called neuroblast, neural stem cell. And there is a mutation in one gene called LGL. It's not LGD, LGL. And you see in that mutation, there is a brain tumor. Do you see on the right, a huge brain? So basically, in our lab, when I was a postdoc, they had discovered lots of genes which are, if you mutate or knock them out, you get a brain tumor. And later, similar genes were known to have similar function in humans. One of them is, for example, brain tumor called BRAT, B-R-A-T. So we discovered these things in flies, but relevant to humans later on. So that's a good thing of studying this basic biology in model systems. So whatever you study is relevant to human systems. So now this is a new thing. What people can do these days is, I don't do this, but one of my collaborators, they do it. It's called organoids. What they take is they take stem cell or the skin cell, they reprogram it and make brain stem cell and then make brain outside in the dish. See here? It's not like what is inside our body, but basically you can study some cell biology in the dish. So again, why these are the model systems, model organisms. Basically, they have similar systems, but simpler to deal with. And the studies are relevant to human study. For example, in fruit flies, there are 15,000 genes. The mouse has, I guess, 30,000 more, maybe 25, yeah. So what is a gene? Do you know this? Maybe it's like, yeah, too much. It's high school. I think gene, you must know all. You can know Mendel. What's a gene? A segment of DNA, good. What segment of DNA? Is it all DNA? A fragment of DNA, okay. A fragment of DNA which does something, right? A pair of alleles also. Yeah, what is an allele? Is a gene. So a DNA is a long stretch of nucleotides. Some of them code for a protein. A gene is a segment of DNA which carries information, yeah. Unit of heredity, good. Basic physical function. Yeah, you can pass on from generations, and also a gene has a start and a stop, right? And it codes for something, a protein, an enzyme. Yeah, there are segments in our DNA which are not coding. So they are not coding for any gene. They are non-coding DNA. Also very important, but we cannot call it a gene. So it's not all segment of DNA. It's a segment of DNA which has a start, stop, and also which codes for something. There are also non-coding genes as well. But okay, so flies have around 15,000 coding genes. Mouse has more, and the humans more, 35, maybe 30, yeah. So all the processes which I was discussing, I'm not talking about my own research now, so it's a different story. So what I have discovered in my lab is basically there are genes which are expressed in stem cells at different times and which make these neurons. I think there was one question or one answer about pheromones. So actually what I discovered in my postdoc, which was a novel finding, was the first time shown by me, is that hormone in insects called the ecdysone. It's a growth hormone in fruit flies or insects. This ecdysone growth hormone makes larvae to go to pupa, pupa to go to adult. So if you take out ecdysone, larvae will stay as larvae in insects. They will not go to pupa, they will not become adults. So basically, in insects, this hormone called ecdysone regulates gene transitions. And as a result, generation of different kinds of neurons. Maybe I will show you one slide, which kind of will give you an example of an idea what my findings were, and then I will go general stuff. So let's go to, where is my presentations? So this will be maybe a little bit complicated, but I have made it simpler here for you. So this is a summary of what I have identified in my postdoc. Basically, these stem cells, which I told you, they divide. There are stem cells, brain stem cells in insects. This is the maggot cartoon. And what I have identified is basically these stem cells, when they age, they express different genes. These are all genes. And what's interesting is in the middle larvae, they express the receptor or the hormone receptor, and the hormone will bind to it and will make gene transitions. And as a result, you get diverse kinds of neurons. This is a novel thing, what I've identified. And basically, the sleep neurons, they are made from late stem cells and are made by hormone exosome. And similar thing in humans, in us vertebrates, which were identified later recently, doing similar thing was thyroid hormone, growth hormone in humans. And there was a study 2 years ago, they showed similar thing happening in humans. So this is why these things are relevant. Okay, so how do you probe a brain? How do you define a circuit? These are the things which are novel these days, and you could be one of them studying this kind of stuff. So it's called optogenetics. So if you want to find which neuron connects to which neuron, what neurons are doing actually, what kind of behavior they govern, they use this technique called optogenetics. You don't need to remember the name. Basically, you shine a light on a set of neurons which have been manipulated, and you can control the behavior of a fly, of a mouse. And basically that way you see which neuron is connected to which neuron. And this is, for example, a maggot, fruit fly maggot. This is a microscopic picture. This is not what you will see in normal wild type. If you go back to your backyard or home, you will not see maggot like this. This is a picture of a maggot or larvae. This will be brain. This is the ventral nerve cord, similar to our spinal cord. These will be neurons going to different parts. And this is one of the pictures from my PhD paper. You see these green are glial cells. There are other cell types of the brain, and the blue are neurons. And this is the adult brains. For example, this neuron is one of the neurons required for flight, insect flight. For example, fruit flies, they have to fly, go left, right. This is the one which controls their flight or governs their flight. So this is the slide which shows what we can study in fruit flies. For example, we can study eye development. This is the human eye, this is the fly eye. You see, damaged human eye or disease, disorder, similar here. So similar genes contribute to the eye formation in flies and humans. Actually, it was identified first time in flies it's a gene called eyeless. Wherever eyeless is expressed, it defines the future eye. For example, how does our body know when we are growing, the eye has to be here, not here? Basically, it's the expression of a gene at that place. If you Google, if you misexpression means express a gene at a place where it's not expressed normally. Let's say you misexpress eyeless on the legs of a fruit fly. Actually, the fruit fly develops eyes on the legs. Basically, that gene, ILS, is sufficient to generate the future eye. And there are many other things, diseases which you can study in fruit flies. So about neural circuitry, you can study how we walk using or crawl using, this is the Drosophila maggot walking. You see, these are the muscles contracting. You can study all this. And then the neurons governing them and the genes governing all this behavior. You see, this is interesting. This is a normal fly going forward. This is the manipulated fly going backward. It's called moonwalker, like Michael Jackson. Basically, in this fly, one neuron has been activated, which tells or actually makes the fly go backward. And this is actually cool stuff which one of our collaborators has done. And you can study male-male aggression. You see these fruit flies, they fight. And there are lots of genes or neurons which have been shown to be involved in this kind of behavior. And you know, I mentioned a word called optogenetics. For example, here when you shine a light, blue light, and particularly activate one neuron, you can see the larvae freezes. If you want to see which neuron is involved in larval locomotion, you can find that. For example, here in this fly, upon blue light, one neuron gets excited or activated, and you can see the fly has abnormal behavior. And you can see these headless flies flying, right? They don't have head, you see? You can ask me questions after. But basically all this can be done in fruit flies. And what's happening inside the fly brain in the real behavior, what they do, perform, can be done. And this is how you can do it.
How do you watch a fly's brain in action?
You see, you can dissect the brain and activate, put some indicators, and then image.
First, the fly surgeon removes the top of the fly's head.
So you take the skin.
Then he glues on a tiny see-through panel.
It's a see-through glass you can put in there. And the fly is normal, they survive.
But gets to rest for a day just to be sure. With a sophisticated
So this is the microscope we can use to image.
The fly while seeing into
You
its
see?
brain.
This is the brain.
But this male fly, with its visible brain,
So this is the behavior they
is
do.
the
Like,
The fly was genetically
You can see.
engineered so that any neurons that are active light up when hit by a blue light laser.
so you can see here.
Fly brains can tell us a lot about all kinds of brains.
So this is a normal brain, this is courtship brain, when they mate.
So
So these are the neurons which get activated. So basically the idea of telling you this is basically the small fly or small fly brain can tell us a lot about human brain in a much simpler system. And all these things are very difficult or impossible to do in more complex brains. And this is also very interesting. It's called the fly compass. This is the fly, are the cells or the neurons which I work on in our lab, or which we work on. So basically, this is the fly here. This is the fly in action. And the fly goes right, left. There's the central brain called ellipsoid body, is a brain structure. The activity goes left and right. Left neurons activated, right neurons activated. They let or tell the fly to go either right or left, you see here. So basically, all these neurons together make a fly to take left or right turn. And these neurons are of different types. How do they become different to do this kind of behavior is what we study in our fly lab. This is also interesting. How many of you think that a headless fly can fly? Let's see. See here? So the neurons which tell a fly to fly have been activated. Even though they have no head, they can still fly. And this is one of the other behaviors, like we groom ourselves, like in the morning we clean our face and comb over here. Fruit flies do similar behavior, it's called grooming. See here, they clean their mouth, they clean their face. And this is a stereotypic behavior, basically. And people, the scientists have identified genes behind that, neurons behind this kind of behavior, and what regulates this kind of behavior. And you can study what's happening here. What do you think is happening in this with these flies, fruit flies? Do they look normal? They feel like, it seems they have kind of seizures, huh? Maybe they are drunk. Yeah, you can also study addiction and alcohol abuse in fruit flies. And these are the ones which are overdosed. Basically, they lose control and sleep. And you can also study higher order brain functions in fruit flies. So this is the bridge or the challenge which fly has to do. The fly has no wings. You see, this is the normal fly on the left. It calculates the distance and makes decision what to do. And let's see if it makes a right decision. This is the same way we do when we have to cross a channel. Agar is water strömmen kvälimas, we have to calculate and then decide appropriately how long we have to jump, right? Basically, this is what flies do also. So there we can study genes. What are the genes which make fly do this? Let's say this is a experiment you did, you knocked out one gene or killed one neuron and are analyzing the fly. What happens here? The fly is having difficult time actually so I didn't do that, right? Basically, there is something wrong in this fly. So in that way, you discover something new, a new gene. And you can also study epilepsy in fruit flies. So one of them is normal, one of them is experimental. You can see. You shake the flies hard. You see on the left are epileptic flies, and if you go zoom in, you can see they are having seizures. So you can study this disease, genetic cause of this disease in fruit flies. Again, this is maggot. When they walk or crawl, these will be the stem cells on the right. They divide over time. This is live imaging of a maggot brain here under the microscope, high-end microscope, what we do here. And these stem cells divide over time, many times, and make the whole brain. Now, my question to you all is, so this is programmed. How many times a stem cell has to divide, or a brain stem cell, neural stem cell is programmed? What if they keep on dividing? What would be the phenotype or the result? What if they lose the control? What will happen? Where is the chat? Let's see. What will happen if these stem cells lose control of division? They keep on dividing. What will happen? Okay. Any answers? Disease arise, yes, good. What kind of disease? I think cancer, good. Saila has good answer. Maraj tumor, good. Jahangir tumor, good. Yeah, so basically, if the stem cell keeps on dividing, you get a brain tumor. Good question, good answer. So now my question for you is, what if they divide less or divide slow? What will happen? It's the opposite. Now the cells are dividing less, and also the stem cells, neural stem cells, are dividing slow. Growth effects, disorders. What kind of disorder? Will the brain be normal, or will it be smaller, or will there be less or more neurons? Abnormal, yes. So there will be less or more neurons. Less, good answer. So basically, I don't know, maybe I will, yeah. So do you know Zika virus? Some of you, yeah. There will be a condition called microcephaly. So what Zika virus does is, actually it was shown in fruit flies later on. I want to Google here something. It's not in my slide. Zika brain, you can see here. I will share my screen here. So you see, this is a normal brain. This is a smaller brain called microcephaly. The condition called microcephaly, smaller brain. Basically, in Zika infection, the brain of the kid or newborn is smaller in size. Nobody knew actually how it happened. Why the brain is smaller. So later on, they identified that basically in fruit flies as a system, that the virus hijacks the cell division machinery of a neural stem cell. The neural stem cell divides less. As a result, there is a smaller brain called microcephaly. So all these programs are regulated. How many times a neural stem cell has to divide to make how many neurons. If something goes wrong during development, we end up with severe disorders. That's why developmental biology or studying development of brain is fundamental to studying anything. Most of the neurological disorders actually have developmental component. They say, there's a saying, what we are actually is basically defined during our development. That's why early days of a kid growing up, or basically it starts from 2 months after fertilization. They say, whatever you do, whatever environment you are in, basically defines whatever is growing inside mother's womb, and also later on until like they go to school. Being in a good environment, healthy lifestyle, eating good stuff is actually what defines the whole life of ours and also our generations. Mother's food, for example, this is the question I had, like one of the press reporters asked when I published my paper is, I showed that hormone, insect hormone actually is important for neurogenesis in fruit flies. Then he asked me a question, how does it relate to humans? Then I had to do some research how it is related to humans. Then actually it's interesting, when mother is pregnant, the doctor actually advises her that you take iodine salt or iodine stuff. Iodine is very important. If a pregnant mother doesn't take enough iodine, the kid has severe brain deficits. And then thyroid hormone is similar to insect hormone in fruit flies. So basically what we have identified is relevant. You see that during development, this hormone is very important for the brain development, and iodine is very important for the thyroid hormone to actually function. So basically what we eat when we are pregnant or the mother is pregnant, it defines the future or the brain or the whole future of a kid. Basically, audio is not clear, somebody is saying, I don't know. Do you hear me or not? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I guess one student is saying that.
It must be the technical error or network issue.
Okay, so this is all stuff, maybe complicated, some of it, maybe some interesting for you. And I find brain amazing or exciting. So some of you might be as well. But then the environment we are growing in, or at least I was going at that time, maybe it's same or maybe it has increased now, is our parents, our society telling us to be either doctor or engineer. So now we discuss about science, what a science is, how scientists do. They explore the world, the nature, and also get paid. So right from, I guess, actually your bachelor's, master's, PhD, postdoc. And now I'll be telling more about what are the different opportunities for you all to explore or to do science. Basically, I will end up science part with here. So whatever we identify in flies on the left, Drosophila, these genes have similar genes in mammals or humans like us doing similar things. So basic biology is very important for all the stuff we understand in this nature. Okay, so this is, if some of you after high school or undergrad are interested in science, finding a mentor, there is this called JK Scientist. We have a Facebook group, 8,000 members. You can go there and find mentors and actually participate in discussions. We have very active discussions, students asking questions. We have mentorship programs and other outreach. I did also some with KEI, and we are also shaping up some programs with KEI, how to mentor master or undergrad students and find a way to actually mentor them. And I will tell you a few examples of some neuroscientists, which I know. There may be more who were born and raised in Kashmir and are doing amazing. Tanzila Mukhtar is at UCSF. She is at one of the best places, good lab, studying same neural stem cells and brain formation. Durafshan Sakina is at UCSB, University of California, Santa Barbara. She's a postdoc studying fly grooming. What are the neurons which regulate fly grooming? Sajad is at UCSF doing amazing stuff. Shaida Andrabi is a faculty at Alabama in Birmingham studying, I guess, neurodegeneration. Manzoor Bhatt studying fruit flies. He's a senior scientist, a professor at UTH. Asif Bakshi is just finishing his PhD. He is part of our mentorship program. He is in Bangalore, Hyderabad, India, studying fruit flies. So there may be more neuroscientists. This is an example of scientists who grew up in Kashmir, were born there, did all the studies there, and then moved on to Bangalore, to Hyderabad, and then are here. I like doing science outreach, telling students what we do, what science is about, and at least give them an opportunity to learn what science is about. So this is one workshop, which I think the only workshop which we did in Kashmir with KEI scholars. So some of you, or maybe these are your seniors, you can find some here. we did some experiments, and I was able to at least show them fruit flies under the microscope. And hopefully, maybe next year, if things get right, we will do some experiments again. And this is Ron Whale. He's the next Nobel laureate, one of the top professors in America, president of HHMI, visiting our school in our village. It was 2015. And talking to them about science. And he was actually amazed by the questions which students asked. He said, the students here are more talented than actually what they have in the US. I think it's the lack of opportunities what is missing. But what we are missing is these opportunities, going into labs, finding places to explore different things. That's why I guess more of the students in our culture, in our society, basically follow medicine, MBBS, or engineering. I think that is they feel it's a secure path because many of the students have a similar desire or opportunities. But I guess my goal at least in coming years is to provide these opportunities, somehow create opportunities to at least expose these students to different things than just textbooks. So there are challenges everywhere in this globe. It's not just Kashmir. Like the place I am at now, University of New Mexico, 2 or 3 undergrads which are working in my lab, they do shift time job, like whole night they work to raise money for their studies. One of the undergrad has 5 kids to support, but yet he's excited about research. He tries to work hard and is motivated to do science. So basically all these challenges make us stronger to do something different and exceptional. And you all are exceptional already. And you just have to be mentored and guided by a good mentor. So basically I was lucky to find good mentors at different times in Bangalore, in Germany, in America. Not just the mentors who I am directly related to or who trained me, but also mentors outside my lab, my university. From time to time, I talk to them, I talk with them. It's very important because they have a different opinion about things, and they have walked on the same path, and they can tell you, it's like when you go hiking, right? First time, if you go without a map, it will take ages to reach the same place. Second time, slow, like you go faster. But if you have a map, you follow the map, right? You will end up at a place very fast. That's why mentors are very important. Find mentors early on. If you are interested in commerce, find a person who is a commerce person who knows things about commerce. If you're interested in arts, painting, digital art, find a person who is interested in digital art early on, after high school, or maybe during high school. If you're interested in brain science, email me, talk to me. I will guide you through, or at least if I am not able to, I will connect you to people who can guide you through. So this is now for you. What can you do after 12 or maybe high school? So these are the standard path. I will not talk about this. You all know this from the day you were born, MBBS, engineering, and other things. So I will talk about something different. One of them, I think this is very fascinating. They were made maybe 10 years ago or 8 years ago, called ICERs, Indian Institute for Science, Education and Research. So these are the top-notch institutes in India. There is ICER Pune, ICER Mohali, and hopefully one day we will get ICER Kashmir if things go right. But basically, they have different programs. You can start right after 12th if you are on the top end of your education. You can go to ICERs. ICERs provide you funding. They provide you money right from first year of undergraduate. There are integrated master's program. You can do master's from there as well and go PhD outside. Or you can do undergrad, master, or PhD at ICERs. And these would be the top institutes for undergraduates to do any kind of education or science. Basically there you do not only study books, but also do science side by side. And the good thing is you get paid. So how do you get into ICERs? I don't know, some of you maybe know, I talked to our members in JK Scientists. Has anybody actually cracked this KVPY? KVPY is a program in India called Krishi Vigyan something. I think it's on the next slide, the full form, the full name. I think if you qualify this, July is coming, if you are 12th, July 8th deadline is coming for the application. There is a national exam. If you qualify that exam, you get a fellowship from first year of your undergrad. So you can go to any institute like ICERs. If you have KVPI, they will already take you because you are already top 1% of the Indian students. And then the second way of getting into ICERs is if you are on the top percentage of board exam of your state. And then you appear for the aptitude test for ICERs. I think the July is also coming, maybe August, for ICER exams. And also if you do JEE, JEE is for engineering, you should opt for JEE, and then if you are on the top 1,000%, no, top 100,000, or maybe not 100, sorry, top 1,000 in your JEE mains, they invite you for interview. And once you get in, then your life is set. I don't think anything can stop you from there. Any questions here? And as I mentioned, let's go to Krishi again first, otherwise I will forget. Yeah, here is the screenshot of this Kishore Vaigyanik Prosthan Yojana. This is basically the goal of all high school students. I have not seen, at least till now, any Kashmiri student having this fellowship. At least I was not able to find, maybe somebody had. And you see you get stipend here, 5,000 every month, 20,000 a year for getting laptops or travel or extra. And then also in masters, it continues, 7,000 and then more contingency. So it's not about money, but it's the prestigious award you can get and also get into prestigious schools. So it should be your goal. Okay, there are lots of things you can do right after 10th. I will share this presentation with KEI. They may be like sending you PDF version of this. Or maybe it's also available on our website, jkscientist.org/resource. So Polytechnic, all these different fields you can be in, ITI, paramedics, intermediate after this. So there are lots of different degrees you can do. And there are also some websites for different entrance exams. Medical, you can do medicine, obviously you all know, but then there are other things you can do here, BSc, cardiology, anesthesiology, and nursing, pharma, respiratory, all this stuff. And same way with BE, lots of aerospace engineering. There is one Kashmiri scientist in space technology in California, FICOM, and she's giving, I guess, a Zoom session on JK Scientists in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. If you want to be an astronaut, you can talk to her, or a space engineer actually. And then there are degree programs for BSc, BCom, other things other than life science or physical sciences. And after graduation, you can do PhD, you can do, if you're in medicine, you can do MD. If you're in US, you can do MD, PhD. MD, PhDs do also practice as a medicine, as a doctor, and also do research. It's a different field. MD, PhD is you do also research and also practice. And for law students, there are other exams here. And all the eligibility criteria, why to do it, are listed here. And there is a big booklet I will share with KEI. It has all the links to all the exams which you can qualify and also which you have to apply to. Okay, let's move to IISc. How many of you know about IISc, Indian Institute of Science? So this is one of the best places to be to do science or to study. Ramanujan, Raman spectroscopy, and all the mathematicians, if you're interested in mathematics, physics, or biology, this is the place to be. And they have actually bachelor programs. IISc has its own bachelor program, integrated bachelor's, master's together. Very competitive, but you are all intelligent and hardworking. And if you have a goal to be there, you will be there. And we will help you to be there. And they also provide stipend. And once you get into the program, your life is set. Then there are many other opportunities. I will go through faster because I will send this presentation later. ICERs I talked about. NICERs are other ones, National Institute for Science Education Research. CBS Mumbai, good one. One of my cousins got there last year. He was interested in mathematics and physics, but his parents were forcing him to be an engineer. He wanted to do research, basic science. So he went to TFR Mumbai. He is doing integrated masters there. He qualified JEE, and then he went to do research there. So he will be studying mathematics and physics there, for example. IISc Bangalore, I talked about. There is Hyderabad Central University and many more, which will be here. Chennai Mathematical Institute. There is one also in Bangalore. I think this one is in Bangalore. Indian Statistical Institute. And IITs, you all know what to do. So there is Birla Institute of Technology, BITS, Pilani, and NIPERS. And there's one more, I guess, national exam called NEST. NEST also has a lot of NEST, lots of opportunities for research if you qualify that. And once you qualify all these exams, it's not just you get into school, also you get stipend. You are no more dependent on your family. There's also this scheme called Inspire, and this is the website. You can go through it, and I think they have programs for different age groups, early career, like high school, undergrad, and also young scientists. And this is it from my side. Now I'm open for interactive session. I don't know, I hope it was useful. But I will send all this information to KEI as well. So basically there are lots of opportunities where you get paid to do science. And if you are interested, excited, go for it. And also I wanted to show you this website to take at least advantage of this website. This is called JK Scientists, jkscientist.org. If you go to resources, here resources, resource has lots of resource actually. For example, database for global scholarships can be here. Click this one. Applying for a PhD if you want to do PhD later on. How to prepare for GRE preparation material is here. Science as a career, lots of different things. Tips for young scientists if you want to be a scientist. And what is interesting for you is you can actually download this career booklet, what after 10+2 from here. Click there, you can find it there. And also some classroom material and many more. And also this is what I wanted to show you. This is the list of lots of institutes doing science in India. They would be the best ones or one of the best ones. And you can click on them and then see what they do. For example, if you click on NCBS, hopefully it works. So this is the Indian neuroscience talking about NCBS. So if you click NCBS, this is where I did my training early on after moving from Kashmir. This is one of the best places to do biology, biological science, and mathematics, physics, I guess also, yeah. They also have integrated PhD programs. You see here is an amazing institute in India, in Bangalore. And south of India, I would recommend. South of India I enjoyed it a lot. It's a good place to be in India. What else? So you can also see INSTEM is a stem cell institute in Bangalore called INSTEM, I-N-S-T-E-M. INSTEM Bangalore. Yeah, here. This is INSTEM. They do stem cell research. And for example, you could go there for internship once you are in your graduate. And there is a long list. Just email me, I will send it to you. And also last year, or actually this year, we were able to help students from Rajuri, 12 students, to go to these different places for internship, master's internship. So when you enter master's or bachelor's and are interested in doing internship, just be part of mentoring program or email me or any of us and we'll help you. So now I am open to any questions other than whatever we discussed today, anything. It could be any question. So
I actually, sorry for jumping in. So couple of scholars have actually sent me private message. They want one more session with you.
okay.
And one more scholar has sent that you have shared a lot of information in there. We would want, maybe if you can send us as a presentation format, we can have a look at it, independently.
Yeah, I will send to KEI my presentation, or maybe I will make a presentation of opportunities for 10+2 in Indian science.
Yeah. So I think we don't have many questions. I think they have already asked a lot of questions.
There are.
But,
I have to go through the chat.
I'm getting two more, these statements from scholars that they want more sessions with you. They find it has been a very informative session. So if anybody has any questions, you can just write in next 1 minute. And we'll be afterwards wrapping up the session for today. And
there are some questions in the chat. Am I supposed to answer them?
Yeah. Please do that.
Or are you limited with time? I am fine with time.
No, we have completed the time, but then if these can be asked quickly in 1 minute, yes. I mean,
no, I'm saying from my side, it's okay. I can stay more to answer these questions. But if you have to leave, then I can answer them offline more.
Yeah, if it takes a lot of time, then we can, because some of the scholars have some classes after 8.
Okay, let me go through important ones which I have not covered.
Umar, let Mubarak Saab answer the questions, please.
Yeah, that's what I'm
He's
saying.
kind enough to give us his time. Let's take advantage of that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, I will see which is important, which I have not covered. So I will go through that. You have, okay. So other than scientific questions, I would first answer the career questions. Which institute you studied in Bangalore? It's called NCBS, National Center for Biological Sciences. Is one of the best institutes in the world there. And IISc is also one of the other one, Indian Institute of Science. And the other one is JNCSAR, Jawaharlal Nehru Center for Advanced Scientific Research. There are Kashmiris everywhere there. And JNCSR also has undergrad program after 10+2. So look into that as well. So somebody is interested in computational intelligence. Yeah, this is a good field actually to be. I wish I knew something about computers. So what in US, or at least here, I tell my students is to learn coding. Computers are actually very important in every field now. Computational data analysis. Like even if I do biology, when you sequence the neurons, stem cells, you have lots of information, genetic information. You have to process that. For that, you need a computational scientist, somebody who knows how to handle big data, how to. So I would encourage you all, maybe also KEI should implement from right on, like 10th plus, programming courses or classes. This is very important for all of you to learn at least some coding. For example, Python is very important. And I wish I knew this. I will maybe learn at some point, but I find it hard. Let's say now we have identified neurons, they talk to each other, but at the end, all the computational stuff which occurs in the neuron level, you need a computational neuroscientist, somebody who knows computers, computer programming, artificial intelligence. AI and big data, artificial intelligence and big data. So if somebody from my mentees or people I know, my relatives, they want to be in computer science, I recommend them, it's not I suggest them to look into big data and artificial intelligence. So these are the things which you might be interested in after 10+2, but start learning coding right on, like Python. Everybody in America these days, they tell students to learn Python. Even if they are biology, they have to code at some point in your life. And it's good to get used to it early on. Okay, I have done my master's in chemistry, 2016. And average student, all are average, I was average. I didn't qualify any international or international I did, but national exams. PhD at a world-ranked institute, most probably in Europe. So you will be a good fit for our programs, JK Scientists. This is where we actually focus on master or senior undergraduates. So you can be doing PhD like we did, or we all did, at any good institute in India, Germany. So, but I think one important thing is to get that first break in the scientific career. For example, if you apply to a PhD program from Kashmir, first of all, nobody knows if there is any good research going on in Kashmir. And it's hard to, if you apply to any faculty, what they look at is a CV. Have you had lab experience? Which unfortunately in our system, we don't have. At least at our times in my master's, we didn't even have any machine. Now at least they have some PCR machines. So basically, if you want to do PhD, you had to move out, go to Bangalore, go to a good place in India where you do research, or you can do internship for 6 months outside, where you at least do 1 to 1.5 years research experience. You kind of get a feeling if you like research. Research could be hard, it is hard, but it's also rewarding and motivating. So what this tells us as a faculty is when you have already done 1.5 years of research, we know that you are a motivated student. And you also have expertise in certain top field, certain techniques. And also the PI who recommends you, recommendation letters are very important for any program. And if I get a letter from a faculty who I know, who I recognize in the field, who I respect in the field, I take it very serious. And I say, okay, let's talk over Skype, let's interview. And then it's up to you how much you know about my research, how much you want to know about what could be done, how much you can do here. Basically, in every lab, in every program, this is what decides the future of a PhD student. So if you are interested in going for research abroad for PhD, I would recommend you to find a lab in India where you can do some kind of 1 or 1.5 year research. It's doable. Just have to find the ways, email lots of faculty, travel to Bangalore, and just find a place to be. That's what we all did. I didn't know what to do in Bangalore when I left. I was there for 4 months. At least now we have a group, JK Scientists or KEI, which can help both financially and in guiding people or students. So yeah, email us if you are not in our group. Just type Coach Scientist and be part of group, and we will connect you to some mentors. What will you handle after 10? I don't know what that means. I don't understand that question. Okay. How to get admission in PhD after master? So I guess covered that. You have to have a good research experience in good lab in India. So some have very interesting questions, but I don't understand them. Okay, I will be, yeah, please share my email with them. They can, or Gmail with them. They can ask me any question if they have, other than what they have here. There are many, but I don't feel that we can cover all of them. And they seem more, yeah, not focused. I don't know what to say. Anyway,
Mubarak, we'll be glad to share your email with them. I think we will also direct them, I mean,
yeah,
towards your website, the JK Scientist website, where they can, you know,
there's lots of resource there. Yeah.
yeah, they can, you know, connect with resources.
Okay,
I wanted
here
to
is my
take the
email.
time, you know, I think we should close the session now.
Okay,
I
thank
personally
you.
wanted to take the time to thank you, you know, for your, firstly, for your selfless initiative. You know, I'm so impressed with the work that you guys have done in connecting, I mean, all the scientists across the globe, you know, together and you know, creating an excellent resource, networking resource, you know, knowledge resource, I mean, for the community, without a lot of like formal process and structure and what have you. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah, thanks. It's a good start. I think the future is very important. Why we take
Yes,
it from here. And
I
also, I
completely
have
agree with
added
you.
Umar Saab in there in our forum so that he gets to know what we do. Maybe some programs are useful for all the scholars, and they can also join there.
So the other thing, I mean, you know, is obviously like, you know, again, for all the work that you have done with KEI and the assistance that you provide to us and our scholars, we are truly grateful to you, sir. So
yeah, thank you. I look forward for many more things together.
there is, as you know, we are working on a project together,
Yeah.
and I had been, you know, Dr. Lal also called me yesterday regarding that. So inshallah, we will give that project legs as well, and we'll go forward with that. You know, I really enjoyed today's session. It was, I mean, to be honest, I mean, you know, it was, you know, a little bit, you know, technical for me because, you know, it's been a while since I've studied school science and science in college, but it was very informative, and especially the path forward that you outlined for various opportunities that, you know, we are not aware of, you know, was very, very interesting.
Yeah,
So,
I will send the KEI is doing amazing stuff. I think what we need to find is a connection, like to mentor these students. There are lots of opportunities, as you can see. We unfortunately we don't know. We just focus on certain fields. That's it. But KEI has been doing wonderful. They are covering different aspects of this world. It's not just engineering and medicine.
so
And
thank you again.
we'll
Thank
be
you,
in
sir.
touch for future programs together.
Anas, thank you very much for your time. I really, really appreciate it, sir. And I'm, you know, again, very grateful on behalf of all our scholars and the organization, you know, to you. Inshallah,
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
inshallah,
like
we will,
talk to
we will
students.
collaborate.
Yeah.
Anas, Assalamu alaikum, Mubarak, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
God bless you, sir.